Welcome to episode number 299 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. You can find us by searching Beyond Social Media Show. We are recording on March 7th. Is that right? 2020?
That is correct.
Here or about March 7th, 2020. Topics this week include Redditors to the rescue, Kevin's famous chili, viral voicemail, stories are coming, driver's fridge, CSS Simpsons, see-through smoke, South by Southwest canceled, who TikToks, and a lot more. And BL kicks it off with the best story of the week, as she does every week. BL, what is that story?
Well, Reddit has a reputation for being a toxic rumor mill, because it is, but it's also become the unlikely home for passionate volunteer users who like to spend their time calling out disinformation as it spreads. And so it's known as a haven for conspiracy theorists. There are forums with names like Troll Fair and Active Measures Against Astroturfing and Disinformation Watch, where these volunteer users share links to news stories and academic research about online disinformation. And they often promote their own research into suspicious clusters of users who are promoting misleading posts on Reddit and other social networks, and they sometimes swap tips on how to steer friends and family away from biased news sources. And other subreddits, as what Reddit forums are called, look specifically to aid people to separate truth from disinformation. So one example is the Reddit SJW rabbit hole, and that serves as a kind of online support network for people who are turning away from the alt-right. A user who goes by the name of Minimal Gravitas, which I love, it says, trying to understand how the universe works is hard enough for humanity without some assholes trying to mislead people. And he's absolutely right. So this this little army of volunteer moderators tries to keep the site livable despite this never-ending onslaught of trolls and spammers and avid propagandists. And the moderators use user-made programs that they create that can detect when new websites are suddenly posted to a subreddit, and that can sometimes be a sign that propaganda or fake news is there. And a moderator who goes by A. Brown says he uses a mix of his own homemade scripts and widely circulated Reddit moderation tools, including the Reddit Enhancement Suite, which does things like add color-coded tags to posts by particular users. And there's also a moderator toolbox for Reddit that has user history analysis feature. And the tools that A. Brown uses can also spot suspicious patterns, like an unusual number of newly created accounts promoting a particular post. It's the kind of thing that Bloomberg ran into. And the moderators know that they can't stem this enormous tide, but they want to have at least a positive impact.
Well, that's nice. I like nice Reddit stories. I had
there are so few.
Yeah, I had a nice Reddit story that I was going to talk about this week, but I kept it out of the show notes. So I'll save it for episode 300, which is another nice Reddit story about a group of Reddit volunteers. That's a tease for next week. But my story this week is Kevin. Kevin, did you watch the Office? Were you an Office fan?
No.
No?
No.
Oh my God.
No. Occasionally, but not as a fan.
Okay. So you have watched it.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't become a fan.
I did not.
That's astounding. I came to it late. I completely binge watched it about 2 years ago, and I went through the American version. All of the seasons in the course of maybe 2 months or something. I just zoomed through them. They are so good, and I'm kind of stunned that you're not a fan. But anyway, Kevin Malone is one of the beloved characters on The Office, stumbling, bumbling Kevin Malone. And so the actor who portrays Kevin Malone on The Office, named is Brian Baumgartner, has popped up in popular culture this past week. Last Thursday was National Chili Day, And for fans of The Office, BL not included, you'll remember the famous chili episode where there's the cold open of season 5's Casual Friday episode where Kevin is doing a voiceover explaining his cooking process for his famous chili and trying unsuccessfully to bring a pot of chili into the office. And just as he's boasting about pressing garlic, he spills chili all over the carpet, and it's a hilarious and much beloved scene from The Office among us fans.
Are
Last
you a
Thursday.
Ray Donovan fan?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you are? How about Better Call Saul?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So we do have some similar tastes.
There you go. Yeah. So anyway, Baumgartner starred in a video this past Thursday, sharing his recipe for his famous chili, but it featured Bush's Beans. So here's a co-branding, or not really co-branding, it's an ad for Bush's Beans. And in it, Baumgartner plays himself, but also there's plenty of clumsy Kevin moments in it as well, including a giant spill. It's a nice riff off of the Office scene, Office cold open. 2.4 million views on Baumgartner's Twitter account. The video got so far, so we'll include those in the show notes so you can watch the original version from The Office as well as the Bush Beans ad. And just a nice opportunity to take advantage of a fake holiday.
Yeah, that's great. I like that a lot. So the next one that I have is not new, but was new to me, and it's such a classic. It comes from Marketing Examples, and it's from Alamo Drafthouse Cinema in Austin. What they did was they took an actual voicemail from an actual customer, and they made it into a message that they play in all of their theaters. And so the cinema says, we don't tolerate people who talk or text in the theater. In fact, before every film, we have several warnings on screen to prevent such happenings. Occasionally, someone doesn't follow the rules, and we do, in fact, kick their asses out of our theater. So the video that they show is an actual voicemail from a woman that they kicked out. And thanks, anonymous woman, for being awesome, from all of us here at your favorite theater in the magnified states of America. So they play it in all their theaters. It's had nearly 5 million YouTube views. She says, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to text in your crappy ass theater. I've texted in all the other theaters in Austin, and no one ever gave a fuck about what I was doing on my fucking phone. So one comment on the video said, finally, a theater with the balls to ask that people use common sense and remember that there are other people there. And you know, I don't live in Texas, but if I ever go there, I'm going to the Alamo Drafthouse. That's hilarious. I mean, and she goes on for like 5 minutes about how awful, how mean they were to her, and that's hilarious.
That is hilarious. But note to self: when uploading this episode to Libsyn, I have to remember to mark it as not PG. What would be R-rated?
Oh, because I said
Yeah.
that word. Okay. Funny.
So stories are coming. This is from Marketland's Taylor Peterson, who reports that LinkedIn has been testing LinkedIn stories internally, and has confirmed that it will be rolling out the beta version to users in the coming months. So they will be joining the ranks of Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram. And coincidentally, BuzzFeed News' Alex Kantrowitz also reports that Twitter will be getting stories. So Twitter will begin testing a feature they are calling fleets. Fleets meaning fleeting tweets. So
I like that.
That's clever. You can post photos, videos, and text that disappear after a short period of time. It is a feature that many people have wanted. Long-awaited debut of stories will be apparently rolling out or being tested in Brazil. So no word on when it will come out and come to us in the United States. They cannot be retweeted. Fleets cannot be retweeted, nor can they be liked. But they will support text, GIFs, videos and photos. I have never really been a big fan of stories.
As they disappear.
Exactly. I mean, from a marketing point of view, I
Yeah.
guess, there's a lot of consumer products and stuff that do it. But if you're going to create content, why are you going to create content that that you can't use again, that doesn't last?
Because it's of the app, it's, but yeah, I mean, from a marketing viewpoint, really, but you can save them. You can add them to your feed in Instagram
So then
permanently,
they're not
but then they're
fleeting.
not, right, exactly. Anyway, I love this story. And in Singapore, Heineken wants you to drink and drive. So they set up a free public beer fridge. This is from Sean Lim at the Drum. And Heineken's not promoting drunk driving. The stunt is to promote a non-alcoholic beverage, Heineken 0.0. So they set up the driver's fridge with Publicis Singapore, and this is so cool. It's designed with the same features and technology of a modern car door. So the ad says, now you can drink before driving. You can only open the fridge with your car keys because it detects the frequency sent by car keys and automatically unlocks. So not just anybody can unlock it. So that ensures they think that only drivers are allowed to knock back a Heineken guilt-free. And the fridge is in prime locations all over Singapore. I just think that's hilarious.
I'd try it if I liked Heineken, but I can't stand Heineken. So,
Well,
and I'm not Singaporean.
right. Well, maybe it'll come
There's
here.
that.
Maybe it'll come to Minnesota.
No. So I am going to geek out on you now.
I love when you do that, Dave.
This is from a Vice article by Matthew Galt, who reports that there's a web developer named Chris Paddle, who has created the Simpsons characters purely in CSS code, cascading style sheets code. So in web development, there's HTML, which describes the structure of the language. This is the body of the document. These are headers. This is a paragraph. This is a list, etc. CSS, cascading style sheets, describes how the text is styled or the page is styled. So if I want to put, if I want to make a font larger or smaller, I do it through CSS. If I want to put a drop shadow on something, I use CSS to do it. So this web developer has used CSS to actually recreate the Simpsons characters using just coding. It's pretty amazing. It's called the CSS Simpsons project. It's available on GitHub, so you can get the code yourself. We could make a Marge Simpson, and by tweaking the code, I think I'll try this out. By tweaking the code, we could brand her with the Beyond Social Media show brand colors, so she could have like an orange face with red hair. So I will try and do that, and I think I'm up to the task. So maybe we'll have that for episode 300.
Oh, that would be great to have.
Yeah, but it's just some serious web design talent from that guy right there.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Oh.
You have another one? Because I don't.
I do. This one's quick. This is from a Mashable article by Jordan Aaron, who shares a video, and I've got a news report. I think is Good Morning America news report on Quake Technologies, who have developed a product called See-Through. C as in cat, through, which is an eyepiece that you put inside the helmets of firefighters, and it uses augmented reality and thermal imaging to allow firefighters to see through smoke, basically. So the dangerous part of firefighting, obviously, is going into very smoky and burning buildings and not being able to see your way around. So what this does is present the edges of things. So you can see where a door frame is, or you can see where a staircase is, or you can see where a body is.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. We'll put the videos forward in the show notes so people can see it for themselves. Pretty cool.
That's a really remarkable use of AR.
Yeah.
Wow. So this brings us to terrible news. You know, I was thinking we need a category for sad news, but this is really sad. And because of coronavirus, the city of Austin has made South by Southwest cancel. So right now, the reason I have it here in the worst is, well, it certainly couldn't be in the best, but no online version has been announced. And, you know, is everybody getting their money back? And what happens to all the airline tickets? And I mean, 400,000 people go to South by Southwest every year. So the impact is way beyond the conference, because the hotel and the service economy depends on that festival for generally half of their annual income. So on the site, South by Southwest says, we understand the gravity of the situation for all the creatives who utilize South by Southwest to accelerate their careers. And Twitter was introduced at South by Southwest in 2007. For the global businesses and for Austin and the hundreds of small businesses, venues, theaters, vendors, production companies, service industry staffs, and other partners that rely on the increased business that the festival brings. So they say on their site they're exploring options to reschedule and working to provide a virtual online experience as soon as possible, starting with South by Southwest education. For registrants, clients, and participants, they're saying please stay tuned. They'll publish an FAQ soon. Jacob Ward tweeted, canceling South by Southwest represents about $350 million in lost revenue for the city of Austin. He said this is an enormous act of civic responsibility. And Big Dog Cass tweeted, CDC, to prevent coronavirus, stay home, avoid physical contact, and don't go in large crowds. Introverts, I've been preparing for this moment my whole life.
Yeah, introverts and freelancers.
Yeah, right. So,
yeah, well, that sucks. I mean, that's the mayor of Austin declared an emergency because I mean it is it's both a public health, they're doing the right thing from a public health perspective, but it's a major blow to Austin.
the
As well
economy,
as,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah,
You know, and New York City just declared an emergency this morning.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And we had our first case of diagnosed coronavirus in Minnesota. So
Ew.
yeah, it's
Getting scary, you know. So
it
I
is.
went to Trader Joe's on Monday to do some shopping. The entire cases of frozen food were empty. Tuna fish was gone. Peanut butter was running really low. Toilet paper was absolutely gone. You know, they I'm sure restocked to a large degree the next day, but every day they've been running out. And I went to the store this morning. The whole the supermarket, the shelf where Clorox wipes would be, totally empty with a sign saying "Sorry, we're out." A lot of things are just gone. So I have stockpiled toilet paper, paper towels, and tissues, and rubber gloves. And I'm just wearing them all the time. I go out to take the garbage down the hall, I put on rubber gloves. I go get my mail, I put on rubber gloves. Because I live in a building with hundreds of people, you know?
Yeah, we so I haven't seen any shortages in my area, but a friend of mine tweeted a photo of a store shelf, empty store shelves in a Target across town. So it is happening here, and I don't know. I went to had happy hour on Friday with a friend of mine. People are out and about, so
You
it's
have to
not
live your
really.
life, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
I mean, you
I
just,
just I I don't use sanitizer stuff. I never really have. I'm like, I want an immune system that works, right? So I tend not to be that conscientious about it. But I also live in an area where where I'm physically distant from a lot of people most of the time. Um,
I'm on the
so
subway every day. You know, I'm in crowds, and you know, you have to live your life. You just do. But my dad, who's 92, his doctor said, you stay home for a month.
yeah,
You know, but I mean, I'm in a high risk category. I have asthma.
yeah,
So, you know,
yeah,
whatever. I mean, you just can't get sick. That's all there is to it.
right. Well, more coronavirus news. This is from Gizmodo's Elise Stanley, who reports that on Friday the World Health Organization took to TikTok to fight against online health misinformation. So this was the same day that it elevated its coronavirus threat assessment to the highest possible level. The quote from the article is, "We are joining TikTok to provide you with reliable and timely public health advice." Who isn't the first organization using TikTok to set the record straight about coronavirus? UNICEF and Red Cross have been pushing out videos to tackle rumors, myths, and memes as well. So there's a lot of, I mean, I can't believe that there's so much misinformation about something that is, life and death for all of us.
Well, you know, the Amazon is knocking down fake cures and, you know, all sorts of things, but it's hard to keep up with it because, like, once these crazy people get going, they're like, you know, tentacles all over the place. You knock it down in one place, it turns up in another. It's scary stuff. And meanwhile, where's the president? He's playing golf. But the New Yorker ran an article about where the president is and indicating exactly how much an image impacts your perception of a story. They have a picture of him from the back going onto his plane in his golf pants. It's very funny. But anyhow, does that bring us to shiny objects?
Yes, it does. What do you got?
Well, this is a good one. I haven't played with it yet, but I like the idea a lot. It's called Off Time, and it allows you to schedule blocks of time for uninterrupted work or uninterrupted dinner, as the case may be. So it analyzes your habits, and then it blocks your apps. It filters out your notifications. It sets up auto replies so you're not distracted by your phone. And it's to let you stay focused while you're trying to do a task, you know, and you can use it to block distractions while having dinner with friends. I like that a lot. Or when you're doing homework with your kids, or, you know, just want to have a conversation with somebody without them looking at their phone, and which is so rare in this world. But anyway, it's available for Android and iOS, and it's 99 cents.
That's pretty good. I was like, I can do that on my own by putting my phone in a different room and turning off the sound and everything, but
well, you know, you're more disciplined than an awful lot of us. And I'm addicted to Twitter, so I can't go too long without looking at Twitter.
That's right. So mine is a nice tool from Google called Test My Site. And we'll put a link to it in the show notes, but it does what it says. It tests your site for mobile speed. And so Google is, this year will be switching to mobile first indexing, or already has, I can't remember. Anyway, it's coming. Every websites need to be mobile optimized. And so this helps you do that. So you put in your URL for your website and it tests your mobile speed. It creates a mobile speed report. It recommends fixes for slow sites. And you can also have a more detailed report emailed to you. So a good resource for anybody who has a website.
I've tried it, and the result was depressing. But anyway, the social media today had the mother lode of tools that offer discounts for nonprofits, for social media tools. And so there are tools for monitoring, for posting, for research. I'll post a link to it. There's some really great tools in there.
Very cool. You've got a project.
I do. I am working on the production of Selling a President 2020, which is a podcast that looks at the impact of advertising on the race for the White House. It's created by really famous New York City ad man Ellis Verdi. And it's going to be a weekly podcast, and it features people like Advertising Hall of Famer Linda Kaplan-Thaler, who worked on the Clinton campaign, advertising legend Lee Garfinkel, Greg Hahn, who's the Chief Creative Officer at BBD&O, and they take a critical look with basically a jaundiced eye at how the candidates are selling themselves as part of their assault on the American electorate. And it's being moderated by Stuart Elliott, who for many years was the advertising writer for the New York Times. And we'll also have political pundits. So you'll see a coming soon page at sellingapresident.com. And I'll post a link to, being an advertising agency, they made an ad for it. So we have a promo video. I have it on my Twitter feed.
Awesome. I can't wait for it.
It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. I got a pro tip. This is something that I've been doing for a long time, but I ran across a Life Hacker article by Angus Kidman that describes the practice. And it's basically how to create disposable Gmail addresses. So if you have a Gmail account, most everybody does, you can use this tactic to subscribe to newsletters where you don't really want to give out your email address. You want to keep your inbox clean for your normal email address. So let's say my email address, it is not, but let's just, for the sake of argument, say my Gmail address is david@gmail.com. What you do is you add a plus sign after the first part of your email address or your Gmail address and add whatever else onto it to distinguish it from your normal email address. So my normal email address is david@gmail.com. If I wanted to subscribe to the Beyond Social Media Show newsletter, I could do David plus bsmedia@gmail.com, and that email would arrive to me, but it's a disposable email. It's not my normal email. So you could set up a filter to send all that into a label for a Beyond Social Media Show out of your inbox, and you could just check that label when you wanted to. Same thing, New York Times, if I wanted to subscribe to their newsletter, give them an email address called davidplusnytimes@gmail.com, and then I could, it's easy to unsubscribe to stuff that way and manage your email when you have a ton of things that you subscribe to, like I do.
Me too. So wait, do you have to go into Gmail and create it, or you just
No,
do it?
you just as you're filling out your form for your New York Times newsletter or whatever, just type in David plus nytimes@gmail.com,
Wow,
and it just
I
that's
like that.
yeah,
I have a political one.
right.
And I love this. Trump's tweets have come back to haunt him. In 2012, he tweeted about Obama having too many chiefs of staff, and these have not aged well, and they're back to haunt him. This is from a HuffPost article by Lee Moran. On Friday, Trump named Representative Mark Meadows as his fourth White House chief of staff in over 3 years in office. And of course, people spotted an old post where he criticized his predecessor, Barack Obama, because he said 3 chiefs of staff in less than 3 years, 3 chief of staff, good his spelling, in less than 3 years of being president, Trump wrote in January 2012. Part of the reason why at Barack Obama can't manage to pass his agenda. So Jesse Wegman tweeted, "It's chiefs of staff, chief, and you've had 4."
I mean, it doesn't, when you have no shame, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter, right?
yeah,
I
really.
mean, it's kind of stunning, but all right, let's anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, let's wrap this up. This is the daily numbers, content characteristics of high performing blog posts. This came from a Marketing Profs article by Ayaz Nanji, but also it's a report by SEM Rush. And some stats that you should know, and some that will surprise you, and some that won't surprise you, perhaps. Long reads, so 3,000 plus word articles get 3 times more traffic, 4 times more shares, and 3.5 times more backlinks than articles of average length between 901 and 1,200
Really?
words. Remember when you could write a blog post of 300 words and,
Yeah.
so no longer. Shorter articles, here we go, 300 to 900 words, have 0 shares, 4.5 times more often than long reads of 3,000 plus words. Articles with long headlines, 14 plus words, get 2 times more traffic, 2 times more shares, 5 times more backlinks than articles with short headlines of 7 to 10 words. That's kind of interesting and a bit surprising. Articles with list headlines, those that start with a number, like X number of things or X number of
And
ways.
things you need to know, yeah.
Yeah. Get 2 times more traffic and 2 times more social shares than other types, followed by guides and how-to articles. That's not surprising. I've known listicles work. BuzzFeed proved that. 36% of articles with H2 and H3 tags those headline tags for HTML, have higher performance in terms of traffic shares and backlinks. And then finally, articles with 5 lists per 500 words compared to articles with no lists get 4 times more traffic and 2 times more social shares. We'll put a link to the report so you can see the full results, full findings in the show notes.
I'm really surprised about the long reads, because I think given the short attention span that we really all have, that's surprising.
Well, it's not surprising to me. I mean, I've seen studies over the past several years, past 5 years or so, that are indicate that longer content does well. It does well in search because there's much more content, so it's focused on one particular topic usually, and it addresses that topic in depth. So Google likes that, and then people like to share it on social because it looks like good content that other people would like, so they tend to share it more. But
Whether or not they read it.
Yeah, exactly. What is surprising to me, though, is the length gets longer and longer. So
Yeah.
it used to be 1,000 words, and now it's 3,000 plus words.
Well, that's your basic, long read magazine article.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really interesting. I'm going to experiment with that.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of episode 299 of the Beyond Social Media Show. You find us by searching Beyond Social Media Show, and you'll see all the places we are, which is basically everywhere. There will be links to everything we discussed at our blog, beyondSocialMediaShow.com/299. And I'm here with David Erickson, who is on Twitter as D. Erickson, on Instagram as DE Erickson, on YouTube as eStrategy, and he blogs at e-strategyblog.com, which you really should read and subscribe to the newsletter because Dave's a content machine. He's always on top of everything. And I'm BL Ochman. I'm on Twitter as What's Next. I'm What's Next blog.com is my blog, and I'm on YouTube as What's Next blog, and the show again beyondsocialmediashow.com, and on Twitter we're at BS Media Show because we don't like to take ourselves 100% seriously all the time. So we'll be back, and we thank you for listening.
Thanks for watching.